Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham Recha Kudash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And today we're going to go into the book of Jeremiah, the 5th chapter. And once again, right, continuing with the Lord's message, right, to Israel via the prophet Jeremiah, as he's showing Jeremiah why, similar to what he did with Ezekiel, why it is that he's going to bring this judgment upon them, seeing as it is that if you look throughout the land, you're barely going to find any that are righteous, as they were all given into the way of iniquity. All right, from the higher up, even onto the poor of the land. So this is Jeremiah chapter 5, verse 1. Run ye to and fro through the streets of Jerusalem, and see now, and know, and seek in the broad places thereof. So basically search throughout the city, right? So you may understand the broad places where, a lot of people would be, the popular areas, right? Go all throughout and see if ye can find a man, if there be any, that executeth judgment, meaning righteous judgment, that seeketh the truth, and I will pardon it. So if you could find any, similar to the situation with Abraham, if you could find any that actually seek the truth, that seek the ways of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, then I'll have mercy on them. And though they say the Lord Yahweh liveth, surely they swear falsely. Because when they take an oath, or when they swear in the name of the Lord, they don't actually intend to keep that. Verse 3, O Yahweh, are not thine eyes upon the truth? Thou hast stricken them, but they have not grieved. Thou hast consumed them, but they have refused to receive correction. So they'll suffer droughts, they'll suffer famines, they'll suffer locusts, pestilence, and through all of that, they will continue to do wickedness, like our people today. You look at the condition that they're in, and it's only getting worse and worse and worse, and yet they will not turn back from their wicked ways, even though the prophets are out there giving them instruction. It was the same thing back then. So that's why it says the Lord has stricken them, right, with different plagues, different, adversities, but they haven't grieved, right? It hasn't clicked in their minds to say, hold on, we're going through this because the Lord is upset. Let us turn back and receive the correction. They have made their faces harder than a rock, meaning that, you can't get through to them. They're stuck in their wicked ways, and they have refused to return. Therefore I said, surely these are poor. They are foolish, for they know not the way of the Lord Yahweh, nor the judgment of their God. Remember, Jeremiah was searching throughout the city, right? So the people that he first came across, he says, you know what, they probably don't understand because they're of the lower class, right? They're poor and they're ignorant of the fact. So let me actually go and inquire, right, of the great men, right? Those that are of higher class, nobility, that should know better. Verse 5, I will get me unto the great men and will speak unto them, for they have known the way of the Lord. So to give you an example, imagine trying to go teach in the hood and then them not hearing or receiving the word. And you're like, you know what did I expect anyway? This is the hood. Let me go to, maybe a Christian neighborhood, right? Or let me go to a neighborhood where it's more educated people and then preach the word. I'm sure they would understand it, right? They would receive it. They would see what I'm talking about. I will get me unto the great men. I will speak unto them, and will speak unto them, for they have known the way of the Lord Yahweh, and the judgment of their God. But these have altogether broken the yoke, and burst the bonds. And what that means is they have broken or strayed from the path the Lord has set us on. So that yoke and the bonds is likened onto the the ways or the commandments the Lord has given us, which is to yoke us or bind us to the path of righteousness. So if you liken the Lord's people here to oxen, right, that are yoked together, the driver or the plowman directs or drives them, right, in a certain direction. But to break the yoke and burst the bonds, meaning now they're going to run free wherever they want to go, as opposed to being under the control or direction of the Lord. So Jeremiah is like, damn, from the least to the greatest, they've all gone astray from the Lord. Wherefore a lion out of the forest shall slay them, and a wolf of the evenings shall spoil them, meaning therefore a judgment is going to come upon them, right? The Lord is gonna there's a reason why you're going to continue to suffer these things. It's like today, if you were like, because these people don't want to listen, you're going to continue to suffer due to gun violence and gang violence and, drugs and all of these things that the Lord uses to judge you. So wherefore a lion out of the forest shall slay them, which in that region in Israel, it used to be a place where you would have lions and bears, really particularly in the Jordan Valley. In ancient times, you did have, it was a hot spot for them. Now, not so much. And it says a wolf of the evenings shall spoil them. Now, the reason it mentions that is because wolves, just like cats, are crepuscular, which means that they're most active during dawn and dusk. So when they go out to hunt, it's usually around that time. That's why it mentions the wolf of the evenings slaying them. A leopard shall watch over their cities. Every one that goeth out thence shall be torn in pieces, right? So you'll have these wild animals that are going to be lurking. Like if you look at places like India, you often see a lot of YouTube videos of every so often there's a leopard that's actually jumped into their village or whatever and is killing people, and they have cases of that a lot, because when those leopards need food, they know where to find it. So they'll lurk. And maybe in the nighttime, they might actually creep into the village and try to find somebody, a dog or a human. But if you wander outside, then they're gonna have lunch. So as it says, a leopard shall watch over their cities. Every one that goeth out thence shall be torn in pieces. So you're gonna be judged. You're gonna be cooked, because their transgressions are many, and their backslidings are increased. So the Lord was going to send these wild animals in the form of a plague upon them because of their transgressions, because they wouldn't take heed and they wouldn't turn back. And it's similar to how when the heathens were first brought into Samaria, due to the pollution of the land with their wickedness, the Lord sent lions to slay them. Verse 7, how shall I pardon thee for this? Thy children have forsaken me, and sworn by them that are no gods. So they go and they worship these idols. They take oaths of them. They swear by them. And they forsake the true living God, right? The God of their forefathers, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So the Lord is saying, how am I supposed to pardon this? How should I let this go? I'm trying to give them a chance. I told them if they would turn back, I would forgive them. But do you see them? Do they look like they want to turn back? When I had fed them to the full, then they committed adultery. See, so when I took care of them, I made sure you had the rain, made sure you had a good harvest, I made sure you were good. You turned around and committed adultery, both physical and spiritual, right? Spiritual in the sense of worshiping idols, and assembled themselves by troops in the harlots' houses, which in the spiritual sense would be likened onto their groves, shrines, and places of worship, the high places where they would commit spiritual fornication with these idols. They were as fed horses in the morning. Every one neighed after his neighbor's wife. Neighing is the sound that horses make, the iconic sound that when you hear, when you think of a horse. It's the iconic sound you hear them make. And when a horse neighs, I typed in here what causes horses to neigh. It says here, horses neigh to communicate with other horses and humans, with reasons ranging from seeking attention and greeting to alarm and social bonding. Common causes include greeting others, calling for a friend, expressing excitement or distress, and communicating a need or warning. So, for the social and emotional expression, weighing can signal strong emotions like excitement or a strong desire to be with a bonded companion. So, when it likens them onto neighing, right, after their neighbor's wife, that's them basically getting excited over their neighbor's wife, i.e., to commit adultery, right? And not even by accident, but like deliberately desiring to do so. So the Lord says, "Shall I not visit for these things? Should I just let this pass? Shouldn't I? Am I not justified in judging them? Saith the Lord. And shall not my soul be avenged on such a nation as this? Because look at the wrongs that they have done against their God. Shall He not get revenge for this? Go ye upon her walls and destroy, but make not a full end. Take away her battlements, for they are not the Lord's." Now, when you actually read this in some of these other translations, they it's actually referring to like a. Let me actually look into some of these words. Wall, a vine row. Let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna pull this up in some of these other translations. So they liken it here actually to Israel being like a vineyard. So it says, "Go down the rows of the vineyards and destroy the grapevines, leaving a scattered few alive. Strip the branches from the vines, for these people do not belong to the Lord." NIV, "Go through her vineyards and ravage them, but do not destroy them completely. Strip off her branches, for these people do not belong to the Lord." So likening the judgment that'll come to them as, devastating, but not complete destruction. Okay. Because, and as it says, "For they are not the Lord's," meaning they're not acting like the Lord's people. Hence, He's going to bring that judgment upon them. Verse 11, "For the house of Israel and the house of Judah have dealt very treacherously against me, saith the Lord. They have belied the Lord," belied meaning to deceive or to deal deceitfully with the Lord, "and said, it is not He," meaning He's not going to do anything. "Neither shall evil come upon us, neither shall we see sword nor famine." So we're going to be good. Ain't gonna be no Jacob's trouble. Right? Ain't gonna be no problems coming against us. We're gonna be all right. And some actually say that, and some say that by their actions. When people walk by, or when they're told of their iniquity and the iniquity that's going on in the world, even for example today, and you tell them the Lord is going to do this, that, and the third in terms of judgment because of this, and then they continue to live their life like everything is all sweet, that their actions are telling you that in their minds, they're saying He's not going to do anything. They're saying no evil is going to come upon them. Because if you believed that evil was going to come upon you, your actions would show forth that. You would say, "Oh shit, I might actually be in trouble here if I'm guilty of this. So hold on." You would do what the elect do. How can I avoid this? Because I actually believe this would happen. So you say America, Babylon is going to be judged. How? I live here. What can I do to escape it? But if they just continue on like everything is sweet, then they don't actually believe the Lord's going to do anything. And that was the case even back then. "And the prophets shall become wind," right? This is what they say. And when they say the prophets shall become wind, what they mean is like, the words of the prophets are gonna basically just pass away like the wind. It's not gonna have any effect. It's just gonna be vain. So they didn't believe, especially the judgments that the prophets were prophesying. "And the word is not in them," meaning the word of the Lord is not really with them. They're just saying it. So the Lord says, because they're saying these things, thus shall it be done unto them, according as it was prophesied. The very same things they said will not happen, that is what's going to happen to them. The sword, the famine, the judgments, the manifold judgments. "Wherefore thus saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts, because ye speak this word, behold, I will make my words in thy mouth fire." So because Israel is speaking, against an incredulity against the words of the Lord, against His prophets, therefore He's going to make, as it says, the words in thy mouth fire. and this people would, and it shall devour them. So the judgments that were being pronounced by Jeremiah would take hold, or by the prophets, would come and take effect on Israel, likening them onto wood that's being devoured by fire. Lo, I will bring a nation upon you from far, O house of Israel. And at this time, it was referring on to the Babylonians, or I should say the Neo-Babylonian Empire, because the Neo-Babylonian Empire consisted of a conglomerate of different nations as well. The ruling class being the Assyrians, right? But as it says here, saith the Lord, it is a mighty nation, it is an ancient nation, a nation whose tongue thou knowest not, meaning whose language you don't understand. Neither understandest what they say, right? And an example is when they actually came. I'm going to jump here real quick to the book of Daniel, the first chapter. When the Babylonians came under Nebuchadnezzar II, the first time, and besieged Jerusalem, and they took away captives. They didn't destroy Jerusalem at that time. This was the case, right? It says, in the 3rd year of the reign of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, came Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, onto Jerusalem and besieged it. And the Lord gave King Jehoiakim, king of Judah, into his hand, with part of the vessels of the house of God, which he carried into the land of Shinar, to the house of his God. And he brought the vessels into the treasure house of his God. So now you know how Belshazzar in Daniel the 5th chapter got access to the vessels of the Lord. And the king spake unto Ashpenaz, the master of his eunuchs, that he should bring certain of the children of Israel, and of the king's seed, and of the princes, right? Because the Daniel was of that royal line, along with the 3 holy children. Because what the Babylonians did, which was strategic, was they wouldn't kill you just because you were of another nation and, they came and took you captive. Those that they saw potential in, that could be useful, that could benefit their kingdom, they took you and trained you so that you could benefit their kingdom. It's like when one nation takes over another nation and they have really good scientists, right? Or engineers and stuff. Rather than, why would you kill them all? Rather than that, they would take them, convert them, and have them work for them instead. So as it says here, verse 4, children in whom was no blemish, but well favored and skillful in all wisdom, and cunning in knowledge and understanding science, and such as had ability in them to stand in the king's palace. These are Israelites, by the way, and whom they might teach the learning and the tongue of the Chaldeans. So they had to teach them the language or the tongue of the Chaldeans. That means that by default, Israel didn't speak the language of the Babylonians. Okay, that's why they had to be taught. So when you go back to Jeremiah 5, when the Lord says, right, this is a nation whose language thou knowest not, neither understandest what they say, he meant that. Verse 16, and so in cases like that, right, of course, you would have, like when you deal with the case with Sennacherib, when he sent his general, like if they came there and they needed to communicate, they would have somebody that could speak the language they needed to speak. What's a modern day example, or a more recent example, is Christopher Columbus, right? Christopher Columbus coming to the Americas, knowing where he was coming, he brought Hebrew translators, because even though he had intents, as he made manifest, to conquer the people there, he still needed to communicate to some degree. All right. Verse 16, their quiver is as an open sepulcher. They are almighty men. A sepulcher is a burying place, right? Like a grave. So when it says their quiver is like an open sepulcher, meaning that their skills with the bow and arrow are deadly, right? They'll put you in the grave real quick. As it says, they are almighty men, and they shall eat up thine harvest and thy bread, which thy sons and thy daughters should eat. They shall eat up thy flocks and thine herds. They shall eat up thy vines and thy fig trees. Now, it doesn't mean that they're going to move in and then they're going to just start eating all your food. What it means is they're going to consume it, meaning it's going to be theirs. All the things that are beneficial to you, that you own, that you work for, right? Your harvest, your daughters, your sons, your flocks, right? Your valuables, they're going to take with them, right? When they take you over. They shall impoverish, right? To beat down, to destroy thy fenced cities, your fortresses, wherein thou trustest, with the sword. So when they come and they lay siege to you and they get the upper hand, they're going to destroy everything and take the benefits of you and of your land. Nevertheless, in those days, saith the Lord, I will not make a full end of you. So regardless, right, when that time comes, when I bring that judgment, I'm still not going to have them completely, destroy you or do away with you. So that's that mercy. And it shall come to pass when ye shall say, wherefore doeth the Lord Yahweh our God all these things unto us? So why is the Lord doing all this? The nerve. Then shalt thou answer them, like as ye have forsaken me, and served strange gods in your land, so shall ye serve strangers in a land that is not yours. So just like you wanted to go astray, you wanted to worship these strange idols in your land, now I'm going to send you to a strange land, and you're going to be strangers there, and then you can serve. And interestingly enough, don't be surprised if they put up the same, front in this time. When the Lord brings judgment, you're going to have people asking, why is this happening? Oh no, why would God do this? God, please, if there's a God out there, don't let this continue. Wait a minute. Are you sure? Because if he didn't let the judgment continue, you would destroy yourself and the rest of the world. You do wickedness, and when punishment comes, you wonder why. What's going on? The thing says do not touch. You touch it, you get electrocuted, and then you're wondering why. I didn't do anything wrong. Verse 20, declare this in the house of Jacob, and publish it in Judah, meaning make it public, saying, hear now this, O foolish people, and without understanding. And when you in the truth for a while, you can understand why the Lord often referred to his people as sottish or foolish or without understanding. You really start to see it. It makes sense, right? Because when you look at how our people behave, and you look at really what the Lord has set up for us, and how simple he has made it for you to be able to just do the right thing and gain all these benefits. He's given us everything. And they throw it away for things that are non-beneficial. That's very foolish. Okay, that's a very foolish thing to do. They work hard for things that are detrimental to them, but the things that are beneficial to them, they throw away. They cast behind them. It says here, which have eyes and see not, which have ears and hear not, right? So they, as it says, they have eyes, they see not, and ears, they hear not, meaning their spiritual eyes, right, and their spiritual ears have been blocked. So they don't perceive or understand the message that the Lord is sending out by way of his prophets. Fear ye not me, saith the Lord Yahweh. Will ye not tremble at my presence, which have placed the sand for the bound of the sea by a perpetual decree that it cannot pass? So your beaches, right? When you go to a beach, because as much as they tout, beaches are not really man-made, right? The sand on the shore, the Lord created that. And if you look at how the waves, they could be crazy, 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 and yet right when they get to that sand, they calm down. Unless the Lord has a deliberate tsunami or something. But on a normal basis, that sand blocks or stops the water. Why do you think that happens? Because the Lord created that way. It's a decree. So as he says here, I've done that. Look at my power, and you still don't fear me? And though the waves thereof toss themselves, yet can they not prevail. Though they roar, yet can they not pass over. And that's why you feel safe and comfortable enough to sit right there on the beach, a couple of feet away from the ocean, with all its dangerous and mysterious things in it, and those giant waves. And at the end of the day, they'll roar and they'll heavy, people even surf, right? And eventually they'll come onto the shore and they'll stop. The Lord set that up. Verse 23, but this people hath a revolting and rebellious heart. So it's almost like by nature, you tell them something and they want to go against it. You tell them the words of the Lord and they want to do the opposite. They don't like to be told what to do. They want to revolt against it all the time. You tell them, no, you cannot do that. Don't tell me I cannot do that. I do what I want to do. That's a revolting and rebellious heart. As it says, they are revolted and gone. They turn against everything, so much so that now look at them. They've turned themselves into a nation of idol worshippers. Neither say they in their heart, so neither do they consider in their mind. Let us now fear the Lord Yahweh our God, that giveth rain. Isn't that what Moses told us before coming into the land? That we are going to be dependent upon, the Most High, because this land, we need him to give us the former and the latter rain so we can have a harvest, so we can actually have food to eat, right? So, so as it says here, he gives us both the former and the latter rain in his season, right? At the appointed time, he reserveth unto us the appointed weeks of the harvest. So the Lord makes it possible for you to have a good harvest because he gives you the rain. He makes the land yield onto you, its crops. Should you not fear the God that you depend on for these things? But they don't stop to consider that. Your iniquities have turned away these things, and your sins have withholden good things from you. So because of your continual wickedness, it has caused the Lord to hold back these blessings and turn it into more of a curse onto you. And all the good things the Lord would do for you, he has held it back because of your sins. It's like when your parents punish you and they take away, they might have wanted to get you something good, but they don't. Or they take away the things that make you happy because you're disobedient. For among my people are found wicked men. Because, what parent doesn't want to see their children happy? But they have to discipline you, when you step out of line. For among my people are found wicked men. They lay wait as he that setteth snares, which is a trap. They set a trap, they catch men. And this is on many levels, right? On the level of scheming mentally. For example, you have people today that'll they'll use elaborate schemes to set up or paint this image of themselves so that they can ensnare others and make money off of them. But back then they were doing this on setting people up in terms of like, I'll loan you something, but I know you can't pay it back, and I'll put interest on it and then say, hey, well, since you can't pay it back, you got to work for me or X, Y, and Z. And then you had on the level of people actually setting up others to like actually kill them, murder them, put them to death. Same things you see today. Verse 27, as a cage is full of birds, so are their houses full of deceit. Therefore they are become great and waxen rich. So you had the princes, the rulers, the judges that were corrupt, with elaborate plans on how to take advantage of those that were less fortunate and using that to make themselves rich. So like today, for example, you have a lot of people that become pastors because they know that they can get a huge congregation, and from that they can use tithing, which is just one of many schemes that they use to make money and not really teach people anything, but play on the fact that people would believe them to be holders of their faith, and therefore they would listen to what they would say. So they use it. You have people that go into that as a business, become pastors as an actual business to make money, because it's an easy way for them to get, people to listen to them, get a lot of people. See, if you have a huge amount of people, you don't need to ask for a lot of money. You can just ask each one for $1. If you have 1 million people that listen to you, a congregation of 1 million people, and you tell them, yeah, just donate $1. For you, it works out because to them it's just $1. Yeah, I can do that. But collectively, $1 from 1 million people is $1 million. See? Verse 27, verse 28, they are waxing fat, they shine, so they're doing good. They're eating right. Off of what? Off of the taking advantage of the people. They overpass the deeds of the wicked, so they go above and beyond that of the wicked. They judge not the cause of the fatherless, yet they prosper. So rather than hearing the cause and judging righteously, right? As it says, the cause of the fatherless, orphans, right, or widows, or people once again who are poor or less fortunate, they'll say, okay, well, I'm hearing, say, this case against somebody who's like a landowner versus you, who's like a, you're a poor man, but you got a farm, and they're saying you owe them this or X, Y, and Z. Instead of, even if the farmer is in the right, they'll judge in favor of the rich man or the landowner because they're getting a bribe, or they're gonna get a share of whatever the outcome of that is. These are the kind of underhanded things that Jake was doing, and the Lord was looking at all of this. So now a farmer loses his farmland because of some wicked practices, and these people make money off of that to their own people. These are the kinds of things that piss the Lord off. So as it says here, the cause of the fatherless, yet they prosper. So they live, lucratively, doing wicked things, judging wrongful judgment, and they prosper because it's a wicked society, right? It's set up in a way, they set it up in a way where they would constantly succeed, and then you would have those that are not doing so well in society suffer at their hand. So as it says, the right of the needy, do they not judge? Shall I not visit these things, saith the Lord Yahweh? Shall not my soul be avenged on such a nation as this? So am I supposed to just sit back while they do all this? Should I not bring judgment for this, as I have clearly instructed them on what to do and how to live and how to govern themselves? And this is what they end up doing. Verse 30, a wonderful and horrible thing is committed in the land. The word wonderful means it's a thing you wonder at. It doesn't mean that it's a beautiful thing. Today, you use the term wonderful in the sense of, wow, it's such a wonderful, like it's a good thing. But the word wonderful in its origin doesn't necessarily have to be good or bad. It's something that is astonishing or surprising. So it says here, a wonderful and horrible thing is committed in the land. And it's going to tell you what that is. The prophets prophesy falsely, and the priests bear rule by their means. So you have prophets that use the outer appearance of being divine, right, as they deceive the people to believe, and the priests, and then they prophesy lies onto them. Once again, prophesying for hire. If you called them out or they didn't like what you gave them or whatnot, then they would prophesy against you. They would say, oh, this is going to happen to you, or blah blah blah. And the priests, instead of following the ways of the Lord and leading the people the right way, they ruled by whatever means they wanted to rule by that was advantageous to them. Think Phinehas and Hophnies, right? I believe those were the sons of Eli. Let me see. Sons of Eli in the Bible. Yeah, Phinehas and Hophni. Okay. That's an example, right? Of priests that were basically ruling how they wanted to rule. It says here, and my people love to have it so, and what will ye do in the end thereof? That's why he said it's a horrible thing, because this is something that they're doing in the land, and they acknowledge it. This is what they like. And so he says, what are you going to do when I bring this judgment upon you? There's no justification for your actions. And that brings us to the end of the book of Jeremiah, the 5th chapter. Lord willing, this is edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rechak Wadash. And until next time, Shalom.